That was an episode and a half, Tony.
Yeah, it was. We had quite the bit of content in that one. That was like 3 nice beefy sections, I feel like.
Beefy. That's the way we like our podcast.
Nice and beefy.
Nice, that's right. Just like my stew. nice and beefy.
Yes. I actually had a good green chili stew yesterday. It was very good.
That does sound good. Beefy. So I loved it. Today was great. Main topic of the day was getting outside of your comfort zone, and we definitely did that. And talked about an event we had over the weekend out at Revel. It was super fun. And then I like the grab bag too.
Yeah,
some good
grab
stuff
bag
in
had
there
some
today.
Good questions. We talk about just different things. Dance floor sizes, drinking at weddings, a bunch of different cool little things.
Yeah, some AI. We threw some AI in there for you.
Good
and,
AI.
Yeah, and then finished up with I like the top 5 tracks for each of us for the month of February as well.
Mm-hmm. Top 5.
Hopefully you guys enjoy that and have some new jams that you can throw on the Spotify.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Let's get to it.
Let's get right into it.
Here we
What
go.
do you like better, Christmas or wedding season?
Mr. Gray.
Yes. The answer would be wedding season.
Bingo.
Well, you've just inspired me to hire a DJ, so thank you.
Oh, well, good luck finding a DJ who can move and shake like this.
You are now listening to Cutmaster Cast.
Yo. Welcome back, everybody, to another round of the Cutmaster Cast. I am DJ Chris Romero.
What's up, y'all? My name is Tony Pacheco.
And we are both DJs with Cutmaster Music here out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And this is the Cutmaster Cast, where we discuss our local events, the DJ and music scene, and wedding industry topics and hacks. Those are our main buckets. And today I think we're going to touch a little bit on all of those at some point in time. We're going to talk about an event that we had over the weekend.
Yep.
That was pretty fun.
Super fun.
Yeah. And then we are going to get into our main topic of the episode, which is basically stepping outside of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about that and dig into the wedding industry kind of business topics with that, and how and how we deal with that, and trying different things and taking risks and what we do there. So I think our event from this past week is going to segue into that pretty nicely. And then we're going to get into the grab bag. I know Tony here's got some good grab bag topics for us to touch on.
Yep.
And then we're going to finish by getting back to the music. Once again, the segment where we share some of our favorite tracks, and we are going to share some of the songs that we are feeling this past month in February that we've downloaded and that we think you guys all might enjoy as well.
Yeah. We're doing like a top 5 songs that have just been playing really well in different clubs or that we've just been listening to, right? We did that for the first Back to the Music, but this one is a lot more of like what's being received well while you're playing it live versus just like what are you bumping in your car.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about what we did this past weekend.
Yeah, we did a dueling DJ set, and man, it was fun. Off the hook, it's just a really, really good time.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank those of you that came out and partied with us on Saturday night out at Revel.
It was fun.
Lots of fun. It's kind of fun for us to divide the night up into segments. I really enjoy it, and we did. We started off the night with our with music icons, and I like that. It was a nice warm up. So for those of you that don't know, with the dueling DJ set, I play the old school tracks, right? So basically stuff from the 90s on back, maybe some of even the 2000s on back, and it's open format. And then Zia, Tony over here, takes over the new school. So it's kind of fun for us to go back and forth. And then we did music icons to start off the night. So I was playing, tracks from like Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna, like, the classic icons. And then
I was playing like Lady Gaga, Rihanna, Drake, Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, so we did a half hour of that, and then we went into the next segment, which was our college years.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was playing music from my college years of 1998 to 2001, roughly.
Yeah. And then I did 2013 to 2017, roughly.
Yes, so that's fun because once again you get the old school, new school flavor and feel,
It's
and
just a good distance enough to where like the music is pretty different, but they can be mixed together or whatever. But yeah, it's like a good little gap between our old school and new school.
right, that was fun. And then we went into our third section of the night, which was TRL, Total Request Live, and I actually really enjoyed that section where we do a half hour of nothing but playing requests from people that were in the bar that night. So it was kind of cool when we explained what was going on. We had a lot of people we couldn't even get through all of them.
Yeah, we were literally flooded with requests. Once we were like, all right, we're just playing requests at this time, so we need you to give us songs. And literally like 5, 6, 7 people came up with different songs. And yeah, like Chris said, we had so many, we couldn't even get through them all. I tried to incorporate them as best I could, but it's tricky sometimes.
But what I really liked about it are some of the deep dive songs that came up. Like I was playing, tracks by Debbie Deb and a lot of 80s, 80s stuff that normally I wouldn't even think of playing.
It's funny because when I hear music, that's what you played. When I hear music by Debbie Deb, dude, that song hits in that crowd because they just love those old school tracks. I feel like Uptown and Revel brings a little bit more of an older crowd as opposed to like a Salt Yard West that brings like strictly college kids, right? That's what I like about Revel is you do have some younger people either who just got married or they're celebrating their engagement. And then you also got somebody who's like a little bit older but still loves to dance and have some fun. So that's a cool thing about Revel and Uptown Funk is that kind of mix of people, but it is definitely leaned more towards older as opposed to younger.
Right. And then we moved into the fourth half hour, which was our mashup mayhem, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And this is where we're going to kind of blend segments here and talk about, stepping outside of your comfort zone, because this is something that really came about, like the day or two before?
Yeah, we were just like, okay, well, let's think of our what we wanted to do, and we were trying to figure out one more segment, and we thought of mashups, right? Because we've done mashups in the past, but then we were like, well, what if we incorporated stems in a way and like did it live? Because that could be cool too.
Right, and this was a takeoff of something I had seen previously at a DJ convention I went to, and so basically to lay out what Tony and I did, we set this up. By letting the audience know, okay, Tony's going to be playing an instrumental, and then I'm going to come over the top of that with an a cappella of a completely different song, and then vice versa. Then I'm going to throw out an instrumental, and then Tony's got to, come up with an a cappella. And we tried to somewhat, prepare a little bit beforehand. We wanted it to have the feel of being, kind of random and keeping the audience on their toes. And so we did this, and I don't know. You'll see here. We've got kind of two different feelings on this. In my mind, it didn't play out exactly how I thought it would. And not to say it was terrible. We definitely didn't get any bad feedback on it at all. In fact, you said that you had some friends that commented.
I had people in my DMs, or I had a guy who was just like, dude, that part was sick. We loved that, the mashup part. It was dope. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's good to hear, because we weren't at the end of the show. We were like, well, maybe that wasn't exactly how we wanted it to go, but it wasn't bad either. Like, it was really good. I think something you said too was that the setting for where you originally saw it was everybody.
It was a convention.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We were like all sitting down in an audience, right? So we weren't in a bar, we weren't in a nightclub, and it was more of a game show type thing. And that was kind of how I envisioned this, as being more of an entertainment element, not necessarily, like I was trying to bring that into the bar setting. And make it more, because like Uptown Funk kind of, it somewhat gives off that type of vibe. Like people are used to being in there with dueling pianos, and you're sitting down and you're watching these two guys kind of duel it out with the pianos, but then there's some audience involvement as well, right? Yeah. And so that was kind of my vision for it. It was like, okay, how can we do something that's kind of captivating, more entertaining, but then also bring the audience into play? And we did that at one point in the night where basically I said to the audience over the microphone, hey, I need somebody to throw out an old school track for me. And somebody, threw out, do you remember what it was?
I can't remember what you played. I remember I played Jackie Chan.
Oh, that's right.
But I don't remember what you played.
And I don't remember what it was either. But they threw out an old school track. I threw on the a cappella, or the instrumental. And then Tony threw Jackie Chan over the top of that. And it was somewhat, it wasn't scripted at all, right? And we got the audience involved.
Yeah, it worked out really well. I thought it was fun. I think we got good reaction from it. But the problem, I think, with like pianos as opposed to DJs is there is an expectation to continually keeping some kind of rhythm going with music. Or that's why, like, when we would make those announcements, we were like, throw a backbeat over it because it's just so awkward to do it without any kind of music behind it. But yeah, when we were introducing, okay, now it's your turn. Okay, now it's my turn. We were like, kind of halting, stopping momentum when people would come and dance or whatever. And then also, too, I felt like there were moments where the song was doing well, and then we would cut it out early. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there wasn't like a clear line of like, okay, are we doing just a verse and a chorus? And then like you would cut it out, and then the acapella would still be playing.
I feel like it was definitely something we should have practiced more beforehand, I think, and had a better idea of what we were going to do. But it wasn't a complete crash and burn. You know what I didn't like, and this was on me. The very first acapella that came in, I didn't have, for whatever reason, we didn't have the BPMs lined up correctly, and it started off. And I think it's starting off on the wrong foot like that for me initially.
Yeah.
It threw me off. I struggled. Like, not that I couldn't get past it because I obviously was ready for the next tracks and stuff like that. But you know how it is. Like for DJs out there, when your mojo gets thrown off, it takes a little bit. Like it's hard for sometimes to like just let it go and then keep moving on.
Yeah.
And I think some of that kind of leaked in for me a little bit.
I feel that.
You know, so it wasn't a complete crash and burn. But what I really want to talk about with this and where it kind of gets into the topic of the day on stepping outside the box is, I feel that as event entertainment. As people in the event industry, that it's important to do this, right? And to step outside of your comfort zone, take chances, and try things that are different. And I think this is what separates, companies from others, as being able to do this sort of thing or find ways to do this or simulate this, right? Like, so obviously, I'm not going to go and break out new tracks at a wedding. Like, people at a wedding go and dance to songs and music that they know and love. So if there's a brand new track, like one I'm going to play here in just a little bit when we get into our top 5, brand new track, I think it's a banger. I think it at some point is going to make it onto the dance floors, but I'm not playing it like next weekend at my wedding. Like
it's too fresh.
It's too fresh, right? But in our nightclub setting in the bar, that's where you try this stuff out. Like and so like doing this interactive element, with this whole mashups and the dueling DJ set, I feel like that's important for us to be able to do that. Number one, to get this goes back to my basketball days, and when I coach my kids, I tell them something that was taught to me a long time ago. I don't know, it always stuck with me, is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Right. And so I think for us to try something new, put it out there. And I mean, this is in a public setting. And we kind of prefaced it. We were like, hey, you guys are going to be, privy to something new here. We're going to try it. It might crash and burn. It might be the best thing ever, or it might be the song you might never want to hear ever again in your life. We don't know, but we're going to have some fun with it. And we kind of set that tone that we were being playful. We're having fun. We brought the audience, had them involved. And we had a lot of people that were screaming out a lot of songs. So that was cool. Yeah.
It was hard, though, because I couldn't hear them. I felt like I can't even pick out one. I'm not hearing anything. It's all just noise. It was so tough.
So, but I think it's just a good practice for us as entertainers, so to speak, to be able to do things like that, right? And just put yourself in uncomfortable situations and go outside of your comfort zone. And sometimes things are going to work and sometimes they're not. So, like, for us, to be able to do that in that setting, we didn't do it all night long. And I think we knew, like, when the half hour was getting pretty close, I was already about 15 minutes in, ready to just tell Tony, hey, let's just go into playing just straight mashups. But we didn't. We powered through, and I think overall, I mean, if I personally had to grade it, I'd probably give it like a C+. Yeah. But I think if we were to do it again, I think we would make the right changes. I think we'd practice it a little bit more and get better at it. But for a first time doing it, like I was, in a way, just like kind of proud of us for taking the chance, because it's already hard what we do. I don't know if people understand when they go to Revel what's going on in the dynamics of us. Like when you are DJing.
It's true beat matching.
Well, right,
when you're
but
having
but
to
what,
sync.
but when you're doing it yourself, right? Like that's a skill in and of itself to beat match one song into the next, to listen to it into your headphones, or now, I mean, we've got technology where literally we can see the waveforms and line them up. We can like the computer can do it for you, okay? But really, we're having to rely on old school thought of DJing where I have to listen. I can't see Tony's computer. He can't see mine.
Yep.
I have to listen to what he's at. And we talk to each other like, hey, what BPM are you at? And he might be like 105. Okay. But then I might play a track at 105 and I can hear it's just a little bit off because 105.3 is different than 105.8. Any DJ knows this.
Yep.
And you're gonna have a little bit of drift in there. Okay. So I have to listen and really try to get this dialed in and then make sure I drop the song in on time and then make sure my levels are matching his so that it's, sounds somewhat seamless. And so it's a pretty hard dynamic to do by yourself. Then you add in throwing this dynamic of I'm trying to do it with somebody else and we're going back and forth. And then add in the dynamic of we're trying to drop in an acapella, which may not be on the one beat, right? Like, I mean, so what we were doing was, I feel like a pretty complex.
Yeah, it was kind of tricky, but like that was for me. It was all about cue points and then just understanding phrasing. Like that was the big thing for us, and that throughout the entire time, it's like you said, understanding. What I mean by phrasing is being able to take songs out at the right time, right? So you got your verse and your chorus. You don't let the next verse come in. You let the other song come in, and that's kind of where phrasing comes in, and understanding that after that 16 bar count, you're good and to go on to the next song versus just like keeping another verse going. So that was really, really big. And like, okay, are you in? Are you coming in? Yes. Okay. So I know to get out. And then we would be 1, 2, 3, get out. Right. And like, we're like actually talking behind the booth or like, okay, this is going to go to an acapella. So then I understand, okay, I'm not going to have a backbeat or anything. So I need to make sure I'm in on that chorus because it's going to sound really weird. So yeah, communication was really key, and then understanding phrasing, because it's going to sound really weird if you have a backbeat, no vocals, or opposite, vocals, no backbeat.
Exactly. So
it's tricky.
It was good. I feel like it was a good exercise for us. I think it was it was fun to try to jump in and make some music match and do it in key and on time and with me not having the beats for whatever reason. I don't know what happened on that first song, but it was not lined up and we got off like right away. We basically had to start over. And I think that it got the mashup section off to just a rough start.
We did me first, right though? Right? I thought we did my song first. I don't remember honestly, but I remember it being off on that one.
Okay, I remember mine being off. Yeah. Like whatever my first one was, like it was, it was off for whatever reason. I mean, I dropped in on the BPM I was at, but we weren't aligned. Mm-hmm. But once again, going into and relating this into business, right? Taking chances. So this is something that for us at Cutmaster Music has been just a culture almost, right? Like every year we try to assess what did we do this past year, and then look at the things that are coming up in this next year, and what can we do? What chances can we take? How can we be different? And different isn't always necessarily good, and I don't think it's good to be different just to be different. I think anybody that does marketing, we hear a lot of a lot of people out there talking about how what do you do to separate yourself? What do you do that's different than your competition? Mm-hmm. And and it's something for us to really look at, right? Like, what do we really do that's different? Is it the music? Is it the way you play the music? Is it your atmosphere? Is it the lighting? Is it the way that you interact with your with clients when they call you? What is the experience that they get from start to finish, right? And that's something that we really like to pay attention to and take risks with. The very first touch point for most of our guests is going to be in a search.
Yep.
Okay, so when they go to search specifically for Cutmaster Music or Albuquerque DJs, and we pop up in that Google local search, all right, how is that area optimized? Are you optimizing that area on the Google My Business platform? Are you making posts in there? Because that's online real estate, right? So then take it a step further into that. If they click into our website, what does that experience look like? And every single year, and I usually do it around this time of year, but I'm actually going to change that up because I've found in the past that it's actually not really a good thing to do at this time of year, at the beginning of the year, to be changing up and messing around with your website. And the reason for that is because this is prime booking season.
Yep.
All right. So this is not the time to be messing around with your website and having an accident happen where your site is down or you're messing around with verbiage and things aren't right. You want to have that really locked in and tight right now.
Yep.
So I feel like the time to do that, and which is what we're going to be doing this year, is to, when you change things up to freshen up your sites, you need to be doing that, I think, during the actual heat of wedding season and not booking season. So I would say like July, August, September, and that's about the midway point in the year.
And July's nice because July's a little slower than like June or August.
It is here in New Mexico, right?
It's hot.
For a lot of people, though, I understand that it can be like super busy season. So most people are trying to do that kind of stuff now when it's like the off season.
Yeah.
And if you're really confident in getting things up and running and having it buttoned up and tidy like that, then more power to you, and that's fine. And I used to do that, and it was fine. But there was one time, this was like a couple of years ago, during I went to go switch over the website, and it did not work. And then I went into panic mode, and I was up like 24 hours, middle of the night, trying to get this site up and running. And it just was a lot more stress than I needed to probably have put on myself. So, getting back to stepping outside the comfort zone on your website, what are you doing to try to to experiment, take risk, jump outside the comfort zone? And then bringing people into your office. Do you even have an office? All right. And if you don't, then what does that experience look like when they meet you for a consultation, right? How are you taking risks there? What are you doing to step outside of your comfort zone with that?
Yeah. I think taking risks is super, super important. I think it helps you just be a lot more comfortable and confident in your field. It really allows you to just have this adaptability kind of, like if something is thrown your way and you've been able to manage it before, you're able to take it on, whether it's in a sales meeting or at an event, right? Like you have these things that you just kind of prepare for. So say, for example, you're a planner and you're taking a risk and, or you want to bring like a to-go bag, right? Or whatever. And you think like, oh, well, maybe I'm stepping on toes or whatever. But no, you're only helping out the potential client or the client to be better prepared. So I think like just thinking about all those little extra things so that when, it gets crazy or whatever, you are prepared and you are ready to go. Just for whatever comes your way. I think that's a big thing in like taking risks, but also understanding like you can be calculated about it. You can be smart about it where you can take in the right information and understand, okay, like we can figure out a way to make this work, but we can do it in a smart way to where it's not going to necessarily affect us negatively or something like that.
So, and here's another example too that I thought of on how we've tried to enhance the client experience by stepping outside the comfort zone a little bit. So like when people come into our office, we've got basically a lobby area with a couch, a sofa. It makes it hopefully, inviting and a little bit more warm as opposed to sitting at a conference
Starbucks.
table. Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. We can go into a whole other podcast episode about doing your consultations at Starbucks or Panera and stuff like that. But for us, they come into our office. They get a nice sofa. I've got a TV that's running.
We've got like some
footage.
media playing of like
We've got some media, and that's
weddings.
what I want to talk about is like. So we've experimented, like, well, what do we put what do we want people to see on there? And in the past, I've put like videos on there, and it's showing a lot of our stuff. And what I found is that as you're talking to these clients, especially on an initial consultation, they get caught up in watching the video, and I don't know how much they're really paying attention to me, right? I've got all these flashing lights. There's people like fist pumping and doing all this stuff in the videos, and then they're not really paying attention to you. So now we've backed off of that a little bit, and we've started to use just still pictures instead. So that way they're still getting some of the Cutmaster vibes and experience, but I've just found that, a lot of
It's just not as distracting.
the video is distracting.
Yeah, makes sense.
And there's a lot going on over here up on the wall when I really need them to be listening to me, or really I'm trying to actually listen to them, right? And I'm asking them questions and trying to learn more about them and the experience they want and that sort of thing. But I've got this thing on the video screen up here, just going crazy with flashing lights and stuff like that, So one little thing there, you can experiment with that, right? Like what are you doing? What kind of decor do you have up in your office space? What are they seeing? What's that experience look like for your couples as they, as an initial touch point, during the process?
One new thing that we've done is in our first 3 questions when people go onto our website and they look for us, we've changed our questions to instead of what was it? What do you think of September? Now it's what do you think of line dances?
Yeah. So it used to be, what are your feelings about the YMCA?
There you go.
And I've always loved that question. So that's one of when you go on our website, you'll see our contact at the very bottom of the homepage. All right, and number one, I want to make it simple and quick and easy for them to just quickly type in their information. It doesn't ask them the whole long line item list of 100 questions about their event. I can get that later. I want to make this easy. Name, number, email, and then I ask them a question, and we change it. It used to be, what are your feelings about the YMCA? Well, those couples are long and gone. They're not getting married anymore. Yep. Okay, so now it's, what are your feelings about line dances? And this usually, it's a polarizing question, right? Most people either love them or they hate them. And it tells me and I don't care whether they love it or hate it or not, right? But it just tells me just a little bit of something about this person that filled out the form, So yeah, that's another way, right?
We're just experimenting, changing a few phrases or just changing it from one song to line dances, right? But it's actually giving us a lot of really good insight going into our sales meetings. I can anticipate what they do want and what they don't want just off that. How they feel about line dances.
I definitely know a person that loves the Cupid Shuffle is a lot different person than somebody that absolutely hates it. So they can answer it one of a few different ways. Love it, hate it, don't really care.
I think those are the 3.
And maybe that's it. It doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
So, those are different people. Those are different personality types, and that's really what that's giving me just a little bit of information during that point. And I also think it gives the client a little bit of information about us, right? Yeah. And I always wonder what they think about that. When they're answering that question, are they thinking, are they going to not book me if I do like line dances? Are they, what do they think of me if I do or don't?
It's interesting.
It is. So I think it's interesting both ways, right? So yeah, that's it. You're right. That's just another way to a little something outside the box. With the whole client experience, and then getting to the actual event itself, right? So for us, we're always looking at ways to level up and keep fresh. Already 10 plus years ago, everybody was using the same sort of, and what I would now consider cheesy DJ lighting. You've just got these lights that are spinning all over the place. Now we call them spinning pukes, right? They spin and they puke out light. And they're just spinning all over the place, dots all over the place. And you bring 50 of these lights and throw them up on this trussing, and you've got wires hanging everywhere. I think that's what your stereotypical DJ looks and feels like. And then it kind of started to evolve, right? Then uplights came into play, and there were these lights that you put up against the wall, and you plugged them in, and they gave color to your walls.
Yep.
And so we were some of the first, I think, in our market to have those. But then you got wireless uplights, and I know for a fact we were one of the first to be one of the first DJs in our market to have those. And then it was like, Now you could program them, and you started doing that, and then everybody, and so with each step along the way, you had more people coming to the market, and then it became more easily accessible, right? And when stuff becomes more easily accessible, then everybody floods the market with it, and then you got to start thinking about, okay, well, what's next?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now, there's still some people plugging in their uplights that are just either static or they're on sound active mode. In our market currently here in Albuquerque, they're still doing this perfectly fine. To each their own, but that's not our level of thinking. When everybody starts doing something, it's like I'm already on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
It's already like, what's next? So I just always challenge people that are in any company, any business, to be thinking about what's next and how you can do it. And I know a lot of this stuff costs money. We offer a DJ booth, a video DJ booth now. Honestly, it just makes we look, I think, a lot cooler than just a regular 6-foot banquet table that everybody else uses. So it's got a 60-inch screen on it. Our couples are able to use that however they like. You can have a slideshow going during dinner. I can play the music videos. We put a monogram. It looks beautiful. You're able to brand your event and your dance floor for your wedding.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's really makes my life a lot easier.
It really does.
I have my DJ decks, everything all connected, all hooked up. Media center there. I mean, what else is on there? My mixing board, lighting board. Everything is all in this, and we just roll in and plug in. I can literally be up and running in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
the longest part is like setting up the physical speakers. You know what I mean?
right. So, but I mean, that's a way to level up, but it's an investment, right?
Yeah.
And I hate to say it. I mean, but it's the truth, especially here in our market. Most of a lot of the guys in our market, and I don't know if it's like this in all verticals, like florists, videographers, photographers. If I have to guess, it probably is.
Yeah.
But people just don't want to spend the money, right? And they don't charge enough to warrant spending the money. So a booth like what I have is easily, when you've added up all the gear and equipment in it, it's probably approaching almost the 10 grand mark with all the gear in it.
Yeah.
Just in the DJ booth.
Yep.
When you consider the mixing board, the DJ gear, the light board and everything, it's probably about a $10,000 investment. And that's just to walk in the door to be able to play music. That's not including my speakers, all the lights that you guys see here. And I can get into how much these tubes cost. Like most people, so right now we're starting to see the market be flooded with LED
People are
tubes.
getting tubes.
They're not these ones though. These ones are these Astera tubes, that are made
awesome.
for actual video. And I geek out over how many movies and commercials are using these guys, but they're coming out with the knockoffs now, right? So they kind of look the same, and they're a little bit cheaper, and actually not a little bit, they're a lot cheaper. Just one of these tubes alone, you guys, is like $500.
It's insane.
Just for one. And I mean, it's just, it's crazy. So, but I think it's, for me, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I don't mind investing the money, and it's not just to purposely look different. It's I like to keep it fresh for myself, and just leveling up.
Yeah, and it really helps us stand out. Like when they see your booth or our booths there, the video booths, they are actually like, oh, Cutmaster's here, and that's really a good little identifier that people can find like peace in, and like be comfortable and confident that a good wedding DJ is going to be here tonight, because we'll get that all the time. Oh, thank God you guys are here, and so like I think it's super, super cool to have those very distinct looks so that no matter who comes into the room, they know that that's Cutmaster.
So I would be interested to know, you guys put in the comments, what are you doing? What are you doing to level up? What are you doing that you think might help some others to be able to step out of the comfort zone? What have you done to step out of your comfort zone that you think could help others in the industry? And I think that's really what it's about too. Like, I don't mind taking chances for the benefit of not only us, but I'm of the mentality of everybody rising together, right? Yeah. So if there's things that we can do that we know that we've made either mistakes with or haven't gone so smooth, I would definitely be one of the first people to help you out with that, you know. So yeah, I'd love to hear in the comments and see what you guys think. What is something that you've done outside of your comfort zone that you've learned that you think the rest of us could benefit from?
Yeah, I agree. I think one thing cool that we're doing is this podcast, you know, like this is something that's totally new to us. And we're like, you know what, let's do it, because we found that, like, yes, we are very good at our events and all of that, but we also like are killing it on social media right now. Oh yeah. We are, you know. And so what's really cool about that is these long forms of content really allow us to chop it up and feed the TikTok, feed the Reels, all those vertical format stuff. And then we're finding couples reach out to us and they're like, "Oh yeah, we saw you on Instagram. We saw you on TikTok." And we're like, yes, you know, and that is a whole nother thing that we're trying to venture in towards, because we understand that these next generation of brides are on those apps, and that's where their eyes are. And so, yes, we're just trying to stay fresh, stay innovative. I've always said that I love these podcasts because they ultimately lead to those little short form clips that are money. That's where you really generate the traction and really start getting that momentum.
Yeah, baby.
All right, so I think we can probably anything else that you can think of in this little segment here. Kind of went on the soapbox a little bit with getting out of your comfort zone, but I think it's really important, you know. You know,
afraid to take chances.
And now's a great time, you know, during the off season to, you know, experiment with some stuff, right?
Exactly, right? Like you're a photographer, go try a new style or something, or you're a cake baker, maybe bake a new style of cake or something, right? I don't know. Or you're an officiant, maybe freshen up your script, you know?
Or you're a DJ and practice your mashups a little bit more.
Yeah, or you're a DJ. Practice those mashups.
Right. Okay, so let's keep it moving. We're gonna put a bow on that one, and let's see. Next, we are moving into the. Let's go to the grab bag.
The grab bag.
The grab. Oh, we don't have any guys, so we still need to find some grab bag music, right?
Oh, that's not bad, but I thought it was that little like backbeat.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Grab bag section, baby.
Yeah, this is the part where you rap about the grab bag.
Good info. I don't know. Okay.
All right. Okay.
So this is the part where we scour through the internets. We find a bunch of different comments from DJs, brides, a bunch of different people just trying to give their 2 cents and trying to get advice as well, right? So here's the first one. First one I found. This one's pretty good. Speeches are terrible. Nobody cares that you were best friends in elementary school. We all just want to eat and get drunk. So hurry it up. What is your opinion on toasts? Are they necessary? Can you have a whole wedding without toasts? What do you think?
That person sounds like they would just be tons of fun to hang out with.
Salty as ever. But I thought it brought up a good point. Like, are toasts necessary at a wedding? Can you actually have a successful night with having no toasts? Like, what did
you know what? Like, and
thinking.
So, this gets back to was it the last episode that we had traditions? You know, we were talking about traditions, and you know, I'm a fan of good toasts. You know, so like, what's a good toast consist of, right? So typically for me, I think they're short and sweet.
Yep.
Get right to the point. You maybe have a couple of lighthearted, funny
joke in there or something.
A joke, something like that. You know. And I think it's fine. And I've heard some great ones.
I agree. So
like the last wedding, the very first wedding of the year that we did was a perfect example. Father of the bride, no, it was actually the father of the groom. He gets on and he had us cue up the Beatles Yesterday.
Oh yeah.
All right. And it was just an instrumental. So we start playing this and he had told us beforehand. He's like, when I say the word yesterday, go ahead and start the music. So it gets to his initial part of the his speech. And then he goes, but yesterday, and then we hit the song and the backbeat starts playing. And then he starts talking about yesterday, you were just a little boy, playing basketball out in the driveway.
Yep.
And then he goes through these different yesterday points and he's hitting the heartstrings of everybody in the group, right? Mm-hmm. And then he goes, and tomorrow you're going to say, yesterday I married my best friend. And it was just like, super heartfelt. It was, and it was really good. And it really wasn't that long. I think it lasted maybe, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes tops. And it was just really good. So that was an example of like a really good one. But of course, we've all been to those weddings with,
Drag.
oh my gosh, like it's,
Yeah.
everybody's thinking the same thing. Get off the microphone. Take the microphone away from him,
Yep. So how do you handle, like, say, for example, I want both my best man, my maid of honor to have a toast, but I also want both my parents. What would you suggest for that?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
To have 4 total toasts in that time?
I think it's not a problem. So it's all about setting expectations, right? So what kind of event experience do you as the couple want your guests to have? So if you give all 4 of them 5 minutes, okay, we're taking up 20 minutes of time.
Yeah. Really painting the picture for them, I feel like helps.
Exactly. And for them, it might be fine.
Yeah, it's true.
But if they decide that they want to do that and they know for sure that, well, dad might have a tendency to do a 10, 15-minute long toast, just know that you're going to have an antsy, crowd at that point. And that's just, it is what it is. We've all been to those events. It doesn't matter even at that point, honestly, how good the toast is. A 10, 15-minute long toast is too long.
It's going to drag. People are going to start feeling it. And like you said, they just are going to be waiting for it to end and all of that. I've always said that as the number of toasters goes up, the amount of time they get to talk shortens dramatically, right? So if you have 2, 2 minutes, right? So you have 4, they each get 30 seconds. But even then, like, I always like to, like you said, set expectations and talk to clients, and I'll let them know, talk to your best man and maid of honor and set an expectation on time, because naturally if you say, hey, you can only talk for a minute, they're going to think, okay, I only have a minute. And so they kind of talk faster, and it ends up only being 45 seconds.
But I like your idea there. Basically, take the time and work backwards, right? Like, okay, how much time do you want to dedicate to speeches? And if they say, you know what, 10, 15 minutes tops, okay, 15 minutes, we've got 4 people, do the math. They each get, 3.5 minutes.
That's a good way to do it. Break it down backwards.
Right.
That's smart.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. Next one. Let's go to a TikTok, and then we'll come back to my other one. This one's interesting. I like it. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, I'm always consider when you're making expenses why you're doing it. Always think about that. Why am I buying this? Or why do I need to pay for this? And again, if it's just because everyone else does it, that's what you do, isn't it? Like, no, you don't have to do it. A couple of things that I didn't do for my wedding that a lot of people do. Number 1, we didn't have a dance floor. Like, you don't have a dance floor? Like, worth it. I'm sorry. I'm like, don't get me wrong. I don't want to say it's not worth it, because I've got vendor friends that they dance.
Different things hold different value to different people.
Exactly.
So some things it's like it doesn't really make a difference. Exactly. Some people it does.
Right. So it kind of touched on 2 different things, on value and what people hold, as well as a dance floor. So how important is a dance floor to an event?
I think for an event, for a wedding reception, it's super important.
Yeah.
Well,
Why?
so I should say this. Let me go back. It's important if dancing is important to you.
Yeah.
And the reason is because it defines a space specifically for doing that action of dancing, right? And creating a party vibe and experience. If you don't have a dance floor, then, well, what's the alternative? I guess just a space carved out with carpet, and not having a dance floor.
I guess kind of like how it was this weekend. They just recently removed the dance floor at Uptown, and it was just like a carpeted area that we suggest you could dance here, right? But like,
and people did so, and you know what? So I actually got comments on that, and people said it was really hard to dance.
Yeah,
you know what? It is. It's hard to dance on carpet. Like people. Like, you can't move, you can't like, it just, and it honestly doesn't feel like a space that you should be dancing.
Yeah.
So I think it's dance floor provides a functional aspect where this is where the dancing happens. For those that like to dance, it provides a surface that is, better for dancing.
I can imagine like heels going into carpet and you're just trying to dance or whatever, and you can't
Or
even put your
let's just
balance.
say you're out on grass, right?
Oh, grass! You need a dance floor. If it's game over if it's in grass. I've
Right.
seen it. It's horrible.
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
So, but if you have an event, and so most weddings people want dancing, but let's just say you're doing like a corporate event, okay, a corporate event, and you're not encouraging dancing, then there's no reason to have a dance floor. Just fill up the space. Don't leave an empty space there, though. I think fill up the space with tables, and obviously in that environment, you're just not encouraging dancing. But if you want to encourage dancing, I think you should have a dance floor.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's super important. And another good thing for dance floor is always remember that yes, you want a good sized dance floor, but to think smaller as opposed to bigger. Ideally, with the idea behind that is that like visually, a dance floor with open space is not as inviting as a dance floor that just is packed and full, because people can be insecure about dancing. Sometimes they're like, oh, I don't want to be seen while I dance, but I still want to have fun, right? So I think when you can go with a smaller dance floor and make it look just more filled, it's a lot more inviting as opposed to, oh, I want to make sure we have enough dance space for everybody to have fun.
Right.
Because then you're creating these like little pockets of open space that people feel awkward. And so it's always better to make it feel more tight and more intimate.
You hit it on the head. If you have 150 people, don't get a dance floor that's the size for 150 people.
Yep.
In fact, I'd probably do half the size.
And
a
that's
dance floor for 75 people.
You can't assume that all 150 people will be dancing at the exact same time on that dance floor. People are going to go get a drink. People are going to go outside. There's all these other activities going on at a wedding. So say, for example, you have 60 people dancing on the dance floor with 150 total there. It's going to look a lot different when you have the right dance floor size, right? So yeah, it's a good rule of thumb to think about that. About half of your guests will be dancing at any given moment. So keep that into account when you're thinking about dance floor sizes as opposed to just the full-on guest count.
Right. Good one.
So yeah, those are those two for dance floors, I guess. But yeah, I liked how they touched on too, adding value and understanding what's important to you and what's not important to you. Cutting expenses where you don't necessarily need to be spending, and then making sure your priority is going to whatever that may be, whether it's a good tasting cake or an awesome DJ, right? Like, it's important to, when you're thinking about your whole day, prioritizing those things. And then that way you can figure out where you want to spend that money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I've got one here.
Nice. Let's hear it.
This one jumps into AI talk.
Ooh.
And this one comes off of a DJ site.
Nice.
That says, if you don't think AI can take over our industry, along with a number of others, then you're completely naive about what AI can do and what we do. 10 years after people started flying drones for fun, those same people can now send hundreds up to autonomously to create a pretty serious show. Why would you think that AI can't blend a track, read a room, alter a script that was created for a specific couple? Please explain to me what you think you can do that someone can't program AI to do or learn.
Nice. Okay. I mean, I feel like for right now, the adaptability is huge. One great example that I had last year was we had the toast going, right? Sunset's coming, but we've got 2 more toasters that are going to have to say a toast, right? So I had the video, as the toast is happening, the videographer comes up to me and he's like, hey, I'm going to need you to cut the toasts, and we need to get them to their space so they can get these photos, because we've only got one shot to do it. And an AI is not going to be able to react to that, make the decision, and actively keep the night going in a very fluid motion. We were able to, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to allow our bride and groom to take a quick break so they can get some sunset photos, but we just want you to enjoy the music, enjoy your time while we finish those photos out, right? Like, the adaptability, I think, is huge. And yes, sure, maybe an AI can read a room, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that an AI can take a crowd And maybe one day they will. Maybe they'll just gauge it and be able to understand, okay, this demographic will like this certain music. But I don't think they'll be able to understand what a dud is. Understanding if you play, okay, yes, they're going to love this genre, but then they don't. And then you have to be able to spin out and go into something quick. So those quick reactions and that adaptability really is what's going to, I think, stand out from like these AI bots. Yes, they'll be able to do a lot. And I think they will come for a lot of guys' jobs. But, if you're really good at what you can do, then I think it's just about being able to, for me, as I like break it down now, it's about being able to adapt in real time because that's like real human reaction.
Yeah, I think there's a few things here. I think number one, you should be learning about AI, learn what it does, learn how to use it, and learn how you can incorporate it. All right. So just like any technology, like anybody that is just, it reminds me of like our, grandparents, great grandparents. My mom tells me all the time, your grandma said that she would never have a phone in her house.
Oh yeah.
And we're talking about like a rotary phone, right? Like on the wall or whatever.
Yep.
They didn't even know what was coming down the line with cell phones, right? And doing all this stuff. But they're so stuck in their ways. Okay. So don't be that. Don't be that person that's so stuck in your ways. I'm not going to learn this. It's never going to be able to do what I can do. Okay. We don't know. And you should learn the technology. But what I do think, and I just heard this recently as well, and I believe this could be true, that AI in our industry specifically for DJs, I could see AI doing away with the lower end, crappy bottom feeder, not very good DJs.
Yeah.
I can see that happening. Because if you are a crappy DJ, all right, that can't read a room very well, can't mix very well, doesn't know music programming very well, well then what am I going to do? Like, I mean, as a lower end, wedding DJ that's charging maybe only $500 to $1,000 for an event, I'm just going to go get my Spotify with its AI generator and make a playlist. Actually, I'm just going to tell it, like, I want these genres, and I'm going to let it just run a playlist, and it's going to do the job that's adequate and needed for that specific event.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's a lower end budgeteer event. Whereas the higher end DJs, I don't think are going to have that issue and problem, because people are booking you, Zia. They're booking Chris, right? They're booking the person, not an AI bot, because of how we conduct a wedding, how we
curate a playlist or whatever,
how we speak on the microphone, how we curate music and with the different mixes. You can't get a Cutmaster music or a Chris mashup that I have personally created on an AI generated bot.
It's true.
So I mean, things like that, where I think skills, professionalism, all of those things are going to matter even more come an AI world. And I think AIs can decimate the lower end market.
Yeah, I agree too. I think that there's this just level of kind of expertise that we bring because of our level of just experience, right? Like, we've been doing this for 8+ years. You've been 15. And with that, we have been in these spaces, and you can do all that. And AI just shows up and does what it's told, right? Like, but we've been in Hotel Albuquerque, and we've been to Hyatt Tamaya, so we understand what is required of those spaces. Or even just like, I've done over 200 weddings, right? Like, sure, an AI can probably do way more than me in one day, but also too, like, they don't have that level of experience to just give those suggestions in planning meetings, as well as being able to adapt in real time on the wedding day. Because wedding days, I feel like all day you can plan, but there will be something that isn't going to go as planned, whatever it may be.
Right. You're gonna have to make a choice on the fly, right?
Yeah, it happens very often, and it's not too intense, right? But like, there's times where, like I said,
it's not intense for us because
we know what to do.
Like we're comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Exactly, and that's like I feel like an MC who doesn't really understand, like, we're gonna have to stop the toasts. Well, I don't know what to do in that. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. I'll just MC. We'll get the music back going, and it's nothing new in a way, right? I've seen this, I have experience in this, and so if that happens, I got to go reprogram the AI because it's different now. You know what I mean? Like that can't happen on a wedding day. There's too much at stake on a wedding day to rely on some kind of bot.
Right. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we are starting to run up against the clock here, so I want to get to our top 5.
Let's do it.
So let's go into that, and I know we've got our
Going back to the music.
That's right.
baby.
It's time to get back to the music, peeps.
Great Scott.
All right. Well, I think, gosh, Zia, I don't know. I think that puts a bow on this episode for us. Anything
That's
else
our
that
episode.
you?
No,
that
you
got?
know, we did a lot of good stuff. We talked about our show. We talked a good chunk on taking chances. Gave them a little taste of our music, and I think that was pretty good for this episode. You know.
All right. I think we're gonna put a bow on this one. And we will see you all next time on the Cutmaster Cast. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for checking out the Cutmaster Cast podcast. Make sure you stay tuned with all things related at www.cutmastermusic.com.